It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Long Beach State's head women's tennis coach, Coach Jenny Hilt Costello. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college tennis?
Well, I think that really entered my brain my senior year in college. I knew that I wanted to stay in sports somehow. I knew I didn't want a 9 to 5 desk job. It just didn't seem like that would fit for me. And college athletics was such a great opportunity for me. I enjoyed my time, and it seemed like a logical next step for me. So yeah, at that point, my senior year, I started firing out some letters and resumes, looking for an opportunity in Southern California because I knew that's where I wanted to stay. And I got really lucky and got the assisting job at Long Beach State.
What was it like, obviously, going to UCLA and playing tennis there?
Well, for me, it was really a dream come true. I was raised in a house. My dad got his MBA at UCLA, so I was raised in a house where we were watching UCLA football and basketball all the time. And Southern California was always calling me. You know, growing up in Sacramento, I don't know why Southern California had my name on it. So UCLA was an obvious choice for me. So it really was a dream come true. And for me, it ended up being an opportunity that my parents afforded me because I did not get a scholarship going initially. I turned down some full scholarship offers so that I could go to UCLA, and my parents gave me that opportunity. And I said, give me a chance. I know I can do it. I know I can earn the scholarship. And so for me, yeah, it was just really a dream come true.
What was that like, obviously, getting to put on those Bruins blue jerseys?
Well, like I said, I was so excited to be there. So it was exciting. I was a bit nervous as well because I knew that, there are expectations and responsibilities when you put on that uniform. But I wanted that. There was a reason I wanted to go to UCLA. I wanted to see how far my tennis, how good could I become? I wanted to compete against the best. And I picked up tennis a little bit late. I started when I was 13, so I was making up for some lost time. But that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to play with the best and see if I could play with the best. So no, it was an honor. It was a privilege. But like I said, at the same time, there were a bit of nerves because I knew there was a responsibility every time I put on that jersey.
During your time at UCLA, what were some of your biggest accomplishments?
Well, honestly, for me, it was going to be taking those little steps because, as I mentioned, I came as a walk on in my first year. So really, for me, it was securing a spot in the lineup, both in singles and doubles. Once I had secured my spot in the lineup, it was then going to be earning my scholarship, and then which I did by my junior year. I was on a full ride, and then at that point, it was I think really for me, highlight was top 10 ranking in doubles and top 40 ranking in singles, and then playing the NCAA doubles tournament with my partner. We went as a team every year, which obviously was exciting and thrilling. But I think also being able to play in the individual doubles tournament was a highlight for me as well.
How did it feel to obviously graduate from UCLA and then get your first coaching job at Long Beach State?
Yeah, well, I think every senior in college, I think, starts having some nerves or some insecurities about what's next, what is next. So wanting to get into coaching, I was very relieved when I got that phone call from Jamie Jones at the time that they did have an opening for the assistant position, and so I was relieved to get my foot in the door. And then I was really lucky. 2 years later, Jamie decided she wanted to be a full time mom, and they gave me the interim position as head coach, and was able to prove myself that year, and then was able to take over permanently. And I guess they'll say the rest is history.
Of course, what was that feeling like in '97 when you took over permanently as head coach?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, obviously that year, that interim year, you're trying to put your best foot forward. You obviously want the team to do as best as they can. You want the administration to feel that they can trust you moving forward with their program, with these young athletes, and the fact that they did, and they felt that I was the right person to continue forward and build this program was really was an honor.
Of course, in your first few years taking over the program, what was that transition like as you were still shortly new from being a head coach coming out of UCLA?
Yeah, it was a building process. I think any new or any coach who takes over a program, whether they're a veteran coach or whether you're a new coach, there is a transition period when you're taking over a program. It's making it your own, building the culture, getting those athletes in there that are buying into your messaging. So there was a big transition, and at the time, the Long Beach State program was didn't have a didn't have a great history, in terms of success. And so it really, yeah, it took some time to build that, and the funding really wasn't very good at the time I took over either, and that has built and grown over time. So that's also helped increase and improve what we're doing. So yeah, and again, it's all about baby steps. Things don't happen overnight. You got to build these things and build your culture, step by step. And that was really my goal, is to just kind of take baby steps and keep pushing this program forward.
What was that like building a winning culture?
I will say it's not easy. It's year by year, and I think each team is different. And I think coaches have their own values and their own culture, but then you've got to have your athletes buy into that culture. And I think each year it's a different dynamic with each team. Whether you change out four players or one player, the dynamic each year with each team is different. And I think you are constantly building and rebuilding that culture each year with each dynamic that you have with each team. So I will tell you, it's not an easy task, and it's something that is constantly changing, evolving each year.
How was that like knowing that you took 9 teams to the regional conference tournament and then 13 times into the NCAA tournament?
Oh, well, honestly, it feels fantastic, and it was those were wonderful moments that I shared with each of those groups, and I think those girls carry those memories with them, and that's something that's going to connect them, uh, as they continue on, and they'll revisit and have those moments. But it is interesting because a regular season title is different than a tournament title, and I think regular season title really embodies a very consistent level of play throughout the entire season. You're looking at about 4 to 5 months of playing where you've shown consistency throughout the entire season. And yeah, having 9 of those titles is fantastic because it shows that we had a level of consistency over a long period of time. Tournament titles, really it's that weekend, and who comes to play that weekend, how have you improved through the course of the season, maybe who's hot that weekend, who has the confidence that weekend. So it is, I think they're two very different titles, but they're both still very satisfying in their own way. And the fact that we have a number of years where we went undefeated in regular season and then continued on to win the conference tournament and go to NCAAs really shows the dominance that those teams had those years in in the conference. So like I said, quite satisfying, but both are very, very different in terms of satisfaction. You have the long-term satisfaction for regular season, and then you have the team that comes together, is united, and is hot at that weekend to then advance to the NCAA tournament.
What was that like going to the NCAA tournament and competing for obviously a championship?
Well, that's what we're working for, working for conference titles and NCAA championships. So obviously, it's thrilling to be there with the best teams in the country that year. usually we get matched up. Our I will say that our NCAA experience, even though we've been 13 times, has been relatively similar because with the regional setup, we end up either at UCLA, Stanford, Pepperdine. We're in a regional area, so our experience doesn't look that different those 13 times that we went. But nevertheless, the experience is outstanding because we know that we're one of the top 64. We're now in a special moment where, yeah, you're competing and eventually a national champion's going to get crowned. So for sure, that is what we work for. It's thrilling, and there's just a different level of excitement when you're at the NCAA tournament.
What's that feeling like for you to obviously compete against your alma mater of UCLA during the tournament?
Oh, well, it's good. I don't know what to. It feels a little different, but I've obviously been here at Long Beach State for 25 years now. So my loyalties, I'll always be a Bruin, but my home is Long Beach State, and it's definitely go Beach all the way.
Who are some of the teams that you face in your conference?
Oh, our conference is a lot of California schools and one non-California school. So we've got Fullerton, Irvine, Cal Poly, Santa Barbara, Davis, Northridge, UC San Diego, and then our one non-California school is Hawaii.
What's that like, obviously getting to play most California schools and then obviously playing that non-California school of Hawaii?
Well, I will tell you, I know that our team loves the fact that we have to take a mandatory trip to Hawaii every other year. So that's certainly popular on the schedule. And having all of our conference basically travel within California on those non-Hawaii years allows us budget wise, because we're saving budget money by being all California. It allows us to do some other trips. And for example, next year we're going to go to Boston to play Harvard and Dartmouth. In years past, we've gone to DC, we've gone to Chicago. So it allows us to go to different regions and get some travel and some experience against teams that we don't normally see. So I love being in that conference where everybody is on the West Coast, because our non-conference travel, we can do some interesting things and take the girls to different parts of the country.
What's that like, obviously playing the non-conference teams? Like you said, you were going to be playing Harvard and Yale and that kind of stuff. What is that like?
Yeah, it gives us an opportunity to see players that we don't normally see. We're in the Southwest region. We play our tournaments here, our Southwest regionals. We see a lot of the same opponents. So being able to go to a different part of the country, different region, gives the girls a different experience against different players. And a lot of times, like I said, I like going on the East Coast. We're now playing indoor tennis, which can be a very different experience than playing outdoor tennis. So it puts us in a different situation, a different environment with different opponents, which is what I want for our girls. I want them to be challenged. I want them to have different experiences. I want them to have to adapt and adjust. And that's what it allows us to do when we were able to kind of have those different experiences and travel moments.
What's that like? And what are some similarities and differences between playing indoor tennis, going like to Harvard, versus playing outdoor tennis, going like to UCLA?
Well, obviously, we're used to playing outdoors. You have the elements, you have the sun, you have the wind, different things. Indoor tennis can be very different. It tends to favor, I think, those that are bigger hitters, bigger serves, because your shots just get bigger and better indoors. So it presents just a different element and a different adjustment. If you're more of a touch and a feel player, you're going to have to make some adjustments because the balls are going to feel bigger coming at you faster. So it's just a general adjustment in terms of game and how you're going to react to your opponent.
What does a typical game day look like for Long Beach State?
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, we're usually out at the courts. Probably the girls start arriving at the courts about 2 hours before match time, and we start jogging, stretching, and start our warm-up routine about an hour and a half before match time. sounds like a long time before match time, but it gives us time to take some breathers, to talk a little bit about what we're doing in our warm up, things that we want to accomplish in our matches. Yeah, and then honestly, it's straight into match time. And now with tennis, with the rule change that they did a few years ago, you go straight from your warm up straight into your matches. There are no pre doubles warm up or pre singles warm up. So basically, once we're done with warm up, right into doubles. And when doubles is over, 5 minutes later, you're going right into singles. So it's kind of that's why we kind of like the longer warm up. It gives us a relaxed time to kind of get into it because once matches start, it's go go.
Of course, with tennis, what is that like having an all-day event where you have doubles and singles going on at the same time?
Well, we actually have. Oh, you mean when we play like our fall events,
Hmm.
or well, fall events? Yeah, those are all day events. Those tournaments, and generally the girls are playing um, anywhere from two doubles and one singles, or one doubles and two singles. So it's a long haul, and we try to make sure that we have everything that the girls need in terms of food, staying hydrated. Um, and then when we get to dual matches, it is three doubles followed by six singles matches. So yeah, I tell the girls, our training sessions, we're allowed 4 hours a day by NCAA rules. And often we use those 4 hours because our matches tend to be anywhere from 3.5 to 5 hours, depending on how long those matches go. And unlike other sports where you're on a clock and you're playing for, two 20-minute halves or whatnot, our matches, kind of like baseball, they can go on and on and on. There is no time limit on it. So we have to be prepared to stay out there. If we're going to play a 7-6 doubles match followed by a 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 singles match, they could be on their feet and out there anywhere from 4 to 5 hours. So we've got to make sure that we're conditioned and trained for that, because the last thing as a coach that I would want to have happen is one of my players, their tank is empty. They run out of energy, they run out of gas, they don't have anything left, because that's something that's within our control. We can't control how our opponent is going to bring their game to the table that day, but we can control our conditioning, and we can control that we're going to feel strong and ready to play through that last point. So that's why we maximize our practice hours, because we have to be trained and ready for those days when we're going to be out there for 4.5, 5 hours.
Of course, with tennis, what is that like playing all season long, playing in the fall and in the spring?
Yeah, well, it ends up being a very long season, and that's such a great question. But the fall is so valuable for us. That is a development time for us when we can, and it's a transition time, especially for our freshmen coming in, training and playing now at the Division I level for the first time. The fall is so important, and it allows our girls to get settled in, get used to the training schedule. We then can start building their games, building towards that spring semester. So while it is a long season for us playing both semesters, I can't imagine not having the fall semester, because for player development, which is something I think we're very strong at, it's invaluable. We need that time for sure.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college tennis?
Well, I think it probably looks pretty similar, across the board for most programs and for most sports. I think they're starting to look at their schools probably in their junior year. NCAA Eligibility Center is a big part of that piece, where they've got to get registered, get an account set up, get their transcripts and their test scores into them. And then in terms of coaching, obviously we're talking with I think the earliest we can talk with players is the start of their junior year. You begin that dialogue with them, you watch the results, you bring them in for a visit. And then if everything feels like a match, then obviously you're making an offer, and you're hoping that the beach is their choice.
What do you look at in prospective student athletes when on the road?
Yeah, in terms of prospective athletes coming in, I think for me, it's that motivation. The college scholarship isn't the ending point, but it's the start of a new chapter for them. They're still motivated to see how far they can improve their tennis. That they're a team player, that they want to be a part of a team environment, working together with the team, coachable, willing to be adaptable, ready to maybe take on those situations that are uncomfortable. As a coach, that's my job, is to put them in uncomfortable situations in practice, make them do things that are out of their comfort zone. If maybe coming to the net and finishing the point at the net is a bit uncomfortable, we got to work on that, and we got to start doing that in matches, because that's how your game's going to improve. So yeah, wanting to be a part of a team, still motivated, ready to take on those challenges and do some things that are uncomfortable.
What does the official visit look like for those prospective student athletes looking to come to Long Beach State?
Well, it's a 48-hour period here in beautiful, sunny, warm Long Beach, 2 miles off of the Pacific Ocean. But yeah, we bring them to campus. We like to have them meet with our academic advisor, because that is truly the number one priority here, is getting that degree in 4 years, walking out with that paper in your hand and having that degree. So we want them to talk to our academic advisor, make sure that we have everything academically that they're looking for in terms of what they want to study, getting them to the courts, getting them around campus to our sports facilities, meeting our team, meeting our support staff, which is our strength and conditioning coach, our sports medicine trainer, and then also giving them a chance to see our beautiful city. Because I will tell you, Long Beach State, I believe that we offer, I'm going to sound like a sales pitch here, but I truly mean it. We offer the complete package. We've got great academics. We're playing top level Division I tennis, and you're living in a great spot. I personally cannot imagine living anywhere else.
What is that like, seeing those recruits, once they are on Long Beach State, put on that black uniform and represent Long Beach State?
Well, you know what? I hope that they look at it the same way I did when I put on my UCLA uniform. That it is, it's an honor. It's a privilege. Not everyone gets the opportunity to be a D1 athlete, and that yeah, when you walk here into Long Beach State, we have expectations for Big West championships, going to NCAAs, and really, it's an opportunity, it's a privilege, and to enjoy the moment, but at the same time, be ready for some hard work.
Of course, what advice would you give those high school prospects looking to become college prospects on the college level?
Yeah, kind of the same thing that I said about what we're looking for with potential recruits is, you know, um, be ready for some hard work. It's going to be a bit of a transition. Be ready for the hard work. Um, be open to those coaching moments. Ready to embrace that team environment, because I will say for tennis, that's something that's different. So many of these junior players are coming out of the junior circuit, which can be honestly a bit cutthroat, and there aren't a lot of team opportunities as you're coming up playing the junior circuit. So embrace the fact that you're going to be able to play tennis in a team setting, and yeah, and just be ready for some hard work. It's you want to play D1 tennis, and if you want those championship moments, you've got to put in the work. No, I don't think any player, any coach will ever say that, they won a championship by taking it easy. You have to put in the time, you have to put in those extra hours, and it's worth it when you have those moments with your team, and you it's totally worth it. So the hard work, as you're working through it, is worth it, and just remember that as you keep moving through it.
What advice would you give those college athletes looking to go onto the professional level on the U.S. Open level?
Ooh, gosh, I think playing the pro circuit is a tough life. You're on the road a lot. It's not easy. It's to make a living on the tour can be very tough, and so you just have to have a strong mindset. You have to know that you're going to have to keep grinding it out. There are going to be times, I think, when you honestly are wondering whether it's worth it, but you just got to keep plugging through it, and just know that and if you're going to start down that road, just know that it's a tough grind for sure.
What advice would you give future head coaches looking to get started in coaching college tennis?
That it can be very fulfilling, very rewarding, but understand that it isn't just about what you're doing out on the court. It isn't just about the day to day with the athletes and the matches and the practices. There's so much more to being a college coach, whether it's the fundraising aspect of it, budgeting, making sure that you keep within your budget, which is very important to administration. There's now a lot of administrative paperwork that goes along with it in terms of setting your schedule, being accountable to your hours, making sure you're not going through your hours. So know that there is that other side of coaching that will take up a lot of your time as well. Because a lot of people just think of those moments, especially with March Madness going on right now. They're seeing the coaches with their players in that moment, and it's fantastic as you're watching it, the excitement, you know, all of that. And that is a huge part of it and a very rewarding part of it. But there is also the administrative side on the back end. And that takes up a lot of your time as well. And you have to be organized, and you have to be willing and ready to do fundraising and all of those things as well. So just know that there are two sides to coaching. There is the sport aspect with the student athletes, but there's also the administrative side that you have to be very diligent with.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with Long Beach State's women's tennis program at?
Long Beach State we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we are on Facebook. And I think on most of them, if you type in Long Beach State Beach Tennis, you will find us.
Thank you again, Coach Jenny Hilt Costello, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with Long Beach State's women's tennis program.
Thanks so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brain, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jenny, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.